people tend to sugarcoat the truth and make it seem sweeter than it actually is. Imagine like a dog running in a movie and trying to catch a stick, or a cat with those beautiful green eyes. Well, this is not actually the truth. You've never seen cats or dogs in shelters with those eyes and just fine and running. In today's society, people tend to go towards what things are actually perfect instead of fixing the wrong things. I will be talking today about why pet adoption is really satisfying, and why pet adoption is satisfying, how people tend to view pet adoption, and some common solutions to these problems. According to the article, Do Something, approximately 2.7 million dogs and cats are killed every year because shelters are too full or there's no room for the cats or dogs. So last year, my friend and I went to a shelter. For some reason, she had to get rid of her cat because she had allergies. And we were surprised that the man had rejected to take her cat. And we kept insisting on knowing the reason, and his only response was, "Sorry ma'am, we have no room." So out of curiosity, I had to go there and had to make sure what shelters, how many shelters we have, and why is it the reason that we have no room. And if the number is not shocking enough, it is more upsetting to think that the statistics only applied is only to dogs and cats over the United States, not anywhere else. Now I'm sure that most of you at some point has had a cat or wanted a cat or a dog. But for those cat lovers or dog lovers, nobody wants to see innocent animals losing their lives. There's no doubt that animal adoption is a satisfying decision that saves innocent lives and gives animals a second chance. First, and most important, people need to adopt. As I mentioned, millions of animals are losing homes every year because people are simply choosing not to adopt. They choose to refer to buying pets or going to pet stores or breeders. Taking from pet overpopulation, only 3.5 million people, or about 20%, choose to adopt their new pet. If you think about this, only 20% of our population is roughly 1/5. So if we increase it up to 1/2, the population, then the countless lives of these animals will be saved. We need to educate society more on how owning a pet is a very huge responsibility. People think that going out and buying a puppy or a kitten is really cute and great. But once this once this kitten or puppy loses its cuteness and becomes a cat or a dog, it's really hard to keep it, and people just think, oh, it's just an animal, I have to get rid of it. It's not an animal. It's a really huge commitment that people should understand, that once you're committed to this animal, you have to take care of it until the end of the day of its life. Not a long time ago, and now I'll be talking about how people view owning a pet. So not long time ago, Paris Hilton carried a small chihuahua in one of her purses. And of course, when society noticed that, everyone brought their own chihuahua because they were just too cute and because Paris Hilton had one. Only to realize that a few months down, the owning a pet is not easy no matter how small it is. Actually, the size of the dog doesn't really matter. Like if you have a small dog or a big dog, they both need food, they both need to be walked, they both need the same thing. So if you're not financially ready, then you shouldn't buy that dog. It is a lot of responsibility. People need to realize that owning a pet is not a fashion statement. It's a lifelong commitment, and you are responsible for that life. Also, people need to stop buying these pets from pet stores and breeders. According to ASPCA, 9 out of 10, if you're purchasing a pet from a pet store, it's coming to be directly from a puppy mill, where animals are treated inhumanely. It is in no way that the pet's fault that it's coming from puppy mills, where female dogs are repeatedly impregnated until the point of death. These dogs are usually not treated well, so they are forced to be female dogs are forced to be impregnated all the time, which leaves the female dog really tired, and that causes death. So this is another cause of these animal death along the way. Breeders are better than the pet stores, but many times these animals are coming from puppy mills, and the breeder would choose to hide the truth. So if you go to a breeder, he might lie to you just to take the profit from you, which is your money. And when he takes your money, all he cares about is getting rid of this animal. So the best choice is to go a shelter where they won't lie to you and tell you everything that is wrong with the pet. Yet, they would advise you to take it or not. So the complete honesty comes from shelters. So now that we've talked about the need to adopt and the common mistakes of how society views the animal adoption, now I will be taking a few ways to fix the problem. The solution to the problem can be solved in many ways. For instance, first, it's a simple thing where people choose to go to shelters instead of pet stores and breeders. So by that way, if we choose to adopt one pet, or each person chooses to adopt one pet, there we are we're increasing one room for another pet to be saved. So by you adopting one pet, you're saving another. Take it from adopting a shelter dog. One of the most rewarding aspects of adopting shelter dog is simple fact that you're saving the life of giving a deserving and another chance to a new home. Another solution would be to educate the society of how important it is to own a dog. For instance, you could start with saying what the dog needs for food, like house for it. You need to start putting the prices of everything and considering everything really well before buying a pet. Another solution could be fostering or volunteering. Fostering is a great way in case you feel like you're not ready to be fully committed to that dog. You can take that dog, take care of it for a while, and then take it back. So that helps the dog to get out of the shelter for a while, and you can still be helping other animals. And by volunteering, it's another also great option because it gives the animals attention and love that they actually need. So by you doing that, you can be helping donate other pets. So in other way, if you're fostering or volunteering, you're helping other dogs. It's very easy to visualize how simple and satisfying adoption is. So in conclusion, choosing animal adoption is a satisfying decision that saves countless lives. And if you have the opportunity to do so, I urge you to do something, whether you adopt, volunteer, foster, or donate, no matter how small the amount is. Anything could make a difference.
Okay, Jessica, what did you think?
So I liked her attention getter, and then your preview was there. I mean, you struggled a little bit, but you got there, so that was good that you still had it. I liked your hand gestures and the tone of your voice. Like in the beginning, it's like, oh, like their eyes and this, and then like when it got more serious, like you showed that it was serious with the tone of your voice. And then you cited your sources, and you summed up everything at the end.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure. The tone of your voice did not indicate to me that you were finished. So, okay, just kind of trailed off there. All right. The visualization at the beginning and the idea that things are being sugar-coated, I like the idea of the attention device. I'm not sure that it works as well as it needs to because it feels a little bit incomplete. Your subject, though, does ultimately get identified and it's clearly stated. You're a little bit hesitant getting into the topic, but once you do, you've got a pretty good preview of what the supporting material is going to be. I like the story about you and your friend going to the shelter to try and deposit the cat, and the explanation that there isn't any room at the shelter is kind of an initiating point for you to investigate this subject. I think that that's good. What I needed was a little bit more follow-up on how many pets are abandoned, how many animals have to be euthanized. Now, the truth is, we probably heard a whole bunch of that today. My God, there's a lot of animal speeches in our presentations today. So we had a lot of that going on. But there's information there that I think that you need to have in the speech to suggest that we can't rely on these places to pick up the slack, that there is a problem, that we ought to be doing something to help these animals, and that buying animals isn't the way to develop this. I think is a good strategy that people ought to be adopting. That's a very clear thesis statement. I just think you need to build a stronger argument for it. There's a criticism of the pet stores and breeders, although most of that is asserted. The one supporting information that you have is that 90% of the animals in pet stores are going to be from puppy mills. And then outside of that, I got a lot of assertions about the puppy mills, about how abusive they are, all the problems that's going on there. I think you could use a little bit more data on that. And then on the criticism of breeders, just that, well, all they want to do is get the money and get rid of the animal. I'm not sure how accurate that is, and I'm not sure why that isn't true also of the shelters. You say, well, the shelters aren't going to lie to you. Well, they've got somebody else's problem and they're trying to get rid of somebody else's problem. Why wouldn't they lie to you? I think you've made a presupposition here that needs some proof. Now, I think there are good reasons to believe what you're saying is true, but you need to give us those reasons, and I didn't really feel like we were getting that as much as we ought to. I like the idea of fostering as a potential solution here, but it's not explained very well how that would work. Is it something that you do through a cooperative with the animal shelter? Is there a way that people come and look at the pets when you are taking care of them and then they choose them? Or is there a period of time that you do that? To me, that's something that I would actually think about doing if I knew a little bit more about it, and I just didn't feel like I got enough about it. The presentation issues, I think, are all pretty solid. I didn't think there was anything too problematic. The papers in your hands look a little bit awkward. I think it would be better if you had them on cards, but I know you're trying to keep them small. You're not really doing a lot of reading, so I'm not sure that you need to have as much detail on those as you have. I think you'd be better off, like I said, with maybe 1 or 2 index cards and just a couple of bullet points on it, so that you don't feel like you have to have that all the time. And then I think you'd be a little bit freer in gesturing and relating to the audience. Although, like I said, there wasn't anything that was problematic. I just think there are things that could be a little bit better. All right, thank you. I'm trying to remember.